All right. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Progression Fantasy Podcast. My name is Joel, and today we are talking Reborn Apocalypse. And to help me with that, I have some amazing guests. To my left, your right, Paul. He's been in the RPG community for a while, and he also works with Brandon. We had him on a couple episodes ago, and they make some merch for different authors and stuff. So that's really cool. Definitely go check him out. And our author narrator guest for the episode, in the bottom, we have Adam Stubbs. Adam, how we doing?
Fantastic, thank you.
So, if you're not aware, Adam does narrate the Reborn Apocalypse series, along with some other series. You do like Paths of Akashic, and what was the one you were talking about with us earlier?
The Runic Artist.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that one. I'm gonna have to go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, looks like we got some people in the chat. Hello, welcome in, everyone. So yeah, let's kick this off. Adam, would you like to do a quick sort of synopsis of the series, or would you like me to do it?
Yeah, I can give like a little brief synopsis or my understanding of it.
Sell us on it.
Yeah. So Reborn Apocalypse is a sort of apocalypse scenario where humanity, the entirety of humanity, has been transported to a place called the Seven Layers, which are like seven giant worlds which are sort of stacked on top of each other, which form like seven challenges of increasing like complexity that humanity has to work their way through to get to the final challenge at the end of or on the seventh layer. And the series starts at the end, I suppose, where humanity has reached the seventh layer, or what remains of humanity has reached the seventh layer, and they lose. They get their asses handed to them.
Yeah, they get taken out by like a scouting party, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because they're just not ready. Through like a series of events which we learn about later, from day one they were basically just doomed from the start. Just a series of like bad decisions or just bad luck. Like it meant that they were just not prepared for what was there. And our hero, Michael Kerr, he is part of that sort of last segment of humanity that's managed to reach the seventh layer, and is part of the people that fail in that mission. But he is actually given the chance. He has an artifact on him that gives him the ability to travel back in time to just before humanity is sent to the seven layers in the first place, so right at the very beginning. And basically using his knowledge of the future, or of the timeline that did happen, that he will then try to change, and using the knowledge and the skills that he's acquired, he will try to change history and prepare humanity for the challenges they have to face with his high school friend Shin and a load of other colorful characters that they meet along the way. That's my pitch for it, I suppose.
Yeah,
it was a great introduction too, because I really like when the very first scene, they're like, oh, they get on the seventh floor, or the seventh layer, and they meet that party, and they're the strongest people come up, and they're like, we're gonna take care of this, and then like they're just like, oh, ping, like like little ants. You guys weren't even wasn't even an effort for them to get beat, and they were like, then the next guy steps up, don't worry guys, I got this, and then bing, like he's gone. Everyone's like, well, what happened? Like we were supposed to win, we had our powerful people. Like it was a great opening to that world, and that like, yeah, you guys thought you had a chance, but you didn't.
Yeah, that's something I absolutely love about this series, is it just has that over-the-top, like, anime vibe style to it, where it's just, like, its own sort of, like, ridiculousness of, oh, I'm this really, like, powerful, like, individual, and it'll go through, like, this is their abilities and like stuff like that. And like, I love
Yeah, and then they'll block them with one finger or something like that.
Yeah,
and your delivery of it is just adds that epicness to it.
Yeah,
because
right. I could totally see the anime power up, like
you're over here like, and he died instantly, and I'm just it just adds that extra mile.
Yeah, saying phrases like that, just like these sort of key phrases that the author used, like he died instantly, just like getting to sort of emphasize all those different words. And also like his eyes flashed was a favorite of like descriptions of the characters. They're just really fun to say as well. But yeah,
I was gonna say, as a person who really appreciates narration, because I only do narration, like those little, like, the emphasis and just the level of not flat storytelling that that adds that interest that keeps people hooked. Like, okay, they do put the emphasis on the right words, or what's important because they emphasize this over that and that kind of stuff. Whereas like I've read a book where it's just flat narration and you're it's like, oh god, like I don't know what's going on anymore, I don't know what's happening, I've lost all interest, I don't care anymore. So all those kind of stuff, to me at least, that's important.
Yeah. So I did want to mention this. It's slight spoilers for people who haven't gotten there yet, but there is a single chapter that is literally just, and Michael died instantly.
I love it so much. But yeah, the all like different sort of narration styles. Yeah, it particularly for like the lit RPG genre, like narrators need to be able to sort of bring the sort of like the engagement into it. It needs to sort of be like over the top. It needs to actually have like the character and emphasis behind it. Whereas there are like certain other books that will suit like a more sort of monotone, relaxed narration style. But for lit RPG and fantasy in particular, yeah, that you need that like that oomph, that character there. I find anyway.
Yeah. So one of the things that I absolutely love about the series is it is written in a way that's very different from like progression fantasy series that I've like normally read, in the way that the pacing itself is off. So like in traditional progression fantasies, you have the character, he goes out, beats the bad guy, gets experience, levels up, like trains and like goes and does it again, right? In this one, so the way the author writes it, he doesn't really describe like what he gets with the points or like levels until like the character themselves know what fight they're going into, and they will sort of prepare and plan just like instantly, I guess, very quickly, and before they get into this fight, and just absolutely hard counter whatever he's going up against. And it definitely adds this vibe of like a very high level of competency that the character has that you would normally see in regression series, but it is taken to like a whole nother level with Michael.
Yeah, like you sort of wonder, like sort of a couple of chapters into, particularly like for the later books, you just think, how did he know that? How can he be that good at reading his opponent and knowing exactly what was needed to sort of like not just like counter that situation, but also just to counter it in a very interesting way as well. Like that's sort of the author's skill in that regard. Like yeah, just the way that it sort of becomes like a detective novel almost, like the sort of little bits and pieces of like, why is he taking that out? Why is he researching this individual little piece of forgotten lore from like ages past that is like that seems completely irrelevant, and then you find out that it's completely relevant like further down the line. It's just like it just constantly keeps you guessing. I think that's one of the great things about it.
So, Paul, you completed book 2, right?
Right.
So that means we get to talk about one of my all-time favorite characters and all-time favorite fights of the series. Like, as far as one-on-one fights go, this is like the most memorable for me, is Prime. Michael versus Prime in the end of book 2, I want to say, like towards the end, right?
Yep.
Oh, that fight is just ridiculous. I love it. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, Prime is also a hero chosen. He's an S rank, very like probably the most powerful person on the floor 1. And his ability is that he can stop time and dissect, analyze, understand anything happening in that given moment just constantly. So Michael's hard counter to this is to just bring stuff out from nowhere that humanity hasn't seen yet, just so Prime has no idea what is coming next. And just the way he describes that fight, and it's so good. I love it.
The straight from left field, like you didn't know this was coming. Magician, rabbit out of the hat, just surprise.
Yeah, he's like, let me throw out a smoke screen, and then Prime's like, oh, it's a smoke screen. I can just pause time and see where he's at, and like throw daggers at him. And he's like, yeah, no, that smoke screen, it explodes now. And it's just like, yeah, I love that fight. Another interesting fight that I want to mention, because this happens like straight out of the gate, is when Michael basically first gets there to the floor. He pulls out a phonograph, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And basically blares Country Road, Take Me Home, to attract all these Marenkai, which Marenkai are like basically long-armed zombies on steroids that climb skyscrapers in their meantime. So basically pretty horrible monsters. It's just summoning a horde of them, and at the time it's emphasizing just like how scared the other people are who just got to this floor. And then you just hear Almost Heaven, West Virginia, and just
that was great.
That was so much fun to record.
Yes. I do appreciate the fact that you actually sung it. Like, props.
Yeah, you're one of the people.
Justice.
Yeah, you're one of the people that does appreciate it. Some didn't. Some
can't please everyone.
Yeah, can't please everybody. But yeah, that was just so much fun. I think like I didn't have this booth at the time that I recorded that chapter, and so I think my fiance heard me like downstairs when I was recording it, and she just rushed up like, "What are you doing?" It's like, didn't realize you were a singer now. Like,
no,
little did you
know,
know.
Like very few progression fantasy series where we actually get like songs in them, and I have to appreciate it like every single time, as long as it's not like overplayed. Like, I definitely appreciate that aspect of
yeah, if it's not like every chapter, if it's not
right. Well, I mean, we're also kind of skipping over the fact that on the 7 layers, time it's not parallel to Earth. So they say like what a month is like a year so I mean, the people they were taken over to the the levels of this world in waves. So there's the first, second, third, and fourth wave. So Michael doesn't come in until the fourth wave, which the first three waves have already had basically years to already find out about this world. And he comes in brand new when these other people have been there for years, and they're very cautious and basically tell everyone don't go outside, because the first layer, they're all in skyscrapers. It's the whole world of just skyscrapers where there's like air bridges over, and they say basically ground is lava. If you go down there, you're gonna die. And so they see this guy come over brand new, and while everyone else is terrified, even the people who've been there for years, and he comes out playing Country Road, just like, I got this, I'm take on the world. And they're like, oh, okay, someone's lost their marbles. So it was epic. Like I said, I mean, like the whole like intro to this book, why I found it so interesting. It was just like, it's an interesting concept to be like, he was lucky enough to find this magical ring that at the very end of all time, that it transports him back, and not only transports him back, but with all of his memories. And then he gets to start over, and then he's just comes into it looking like this total badass. Like it was just it was so much fun.
Yeah, because there's not a lot that he brings over, but what he does bring over from the past is his knowledge of both cultivation and sword mastery. And like, so even though his soul stat, which is what he uses to use the higher levels of like sword mastery, his soul stat can't handle that, but he knows like exactly how to train it, right?
Like he knows the technique, the knowledge is there of like the stances and everything, and like and how to use a sword properly. That's not something that you just forget, like riding a bike. So yeah, and he certainly uses that to his advantage. I also like how like he uses what would normally be considered a just a healing ability, the life orbs. How he uses them in such a creative way. Like when he originally picks them as like one of his limited like first abilities, you just think, why has he picked them? They don't you can see like the rest of humanity hasn't really decided to pick that ability. They don't see that it's of any value, but he's like, oh no, they are perfect for what I want to do. You can do so much with them. And then just seeing the creative ways that he can that he uses these supposedly just healing orbs to do all sorts of stuff.
Not only does the life orbs heal him back to life, or like if he dies, like lets him revive, he also uses them like as like static objects that he can move around. So he uses them for flight. He uses them to like knock people unconscious. He uses them for like all sorts of like amazing various abilities. And the life orbs, I think why it wasn't taken is that it had a pretty difficult caveat where you can't have a type, which types are like basically you can decide to be like a werewolf type or a vampire type or like a mystery animal type, right? And I feel like a lot of the stronger humans on floor 1 at least have those type abilities. So that's another reason.
Yeah. And that's one of the sort of like, because he knows that a lot of people will have gone for those kinds of types, but he knows that in the future that is one of the things that slowed humanity down, if you like. That's one of the key mistakes that they make in the very beginning, and that's one of the things that he ultimately wants to try and change, like in addition to everything else.
Yeah, I would say so I mean, like with Michael and like his so I don't remember the exact timeline of like how long humanity till Michael comes back, but I mean he's been in there for years. So I mean, like going into this, when you first read like the book and we're developing this for audio, like would you say that, like, did you model Michael after anyone, or is, like, is Michael just like, well, like, this is just how I imagine him, so this is how I'm going to voice him? Because I mean, like, you're talking about a dude who's an older dude who's suddenly now a younger dude, but still has all the memories of an older dude.
Yeah, I think I didn't really model him on anyone in particular. I more just sort of like tried to make his voice sort of embody his state of maturity, because yes, he's gone back in time and he's only supposed to be like 18, but he has been like in the 7 layers for close to like over 10 years, so he's meant to be sort of in his late 20s, early 30s in terms of, and he's seen a lot. So I think like my key thing was like his voice needs to sort of like embody that maturity. So it meant that I sort of like, okay, I'm gonna make it perhaps like a little bit deeper, just deeper than you might expect like an 18-year-old to do, but like to sound, but just so that it brings across like the sort of the gravitas and the like the weight that's on his shoulders, and like the seriousness that that he needs to embody. So that was kind of what I was mainly thinking when I was like voicing him.
Yeah. So I think in a lot of times in regression series, there's always the character who carries like a lot of weight on their shoulders. And one of the ways they sort of counteract that is to have like a party or a group of people that he relies on and lets them in on the fact that he's from the future. I feel like Michael, he does that, but he still has all the weight on his shoulders. Like he can't really.
Yeah,
he'll send his friends out on missions to like get stuff done, but he won't like be like, "Hey, you can like, this is what's gonna happen. We got to fix this." Like, tell them everything that's gonna happen, like step by step by step, just to like, yeah. So like there's a lot of weight on his shoulders, and then that brings me to another point, is that one of my all-time favorite characters that we haven't mentioned yet, Shen Hopefeld, one of his party members, and Shen apparently is like basically Michael if he hadn't gone through like life-changing experiences in this world, and basically plays the fool, it feels like.
yeah. I think,
but
yeah.
Deep down there's so much to his character. Like he's a good guy, he's like surprisingly competent, and it shows.
Yeah, it's like
But also
the
very
sort of,
funny. Yeah.
the sort of like lovable goofball who like adds some sort of much needed levity for Michael to bounce off of. It's like I do feel like sort of sometimes Michael can be perhaps a little bit too stoic, because he's got like this world-ending weight on his shoulders, and Shin is very much the sort of like competent friend who also is willing to actually like look on the bright side of stuff, and that is like a key thing that you need in like a party, or like the character's not sidekick, but like the other lead of the story.
Yeah. So one of the characters that he meets early on is Sophia, and she's another irregular, abnormal, basically people who come to the world and have an excess of points to spend on different abilities and stuff. And she gets an ability called Fairy Eyes, which I think is like a limited ability in the shop. And did we even talk about the shop?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's so much to this world, and
Yeah.
such amazing world building, and I want to hit the characters, I want to hit the world building, I want to hit it all. But
Kurt does a great job at just like at world building. in
Yeah.
general. The world building is amazing.
I will mention the shop in a minute, but we're talking about Sophia. One of the things that I cracked me up was Michael gives Sophia a nickname pretty early on in the series. He calls her Sofa. And so then when Michael sends Sophia to go find Shin, Michael has not talked to Shin since they got there. No interaction at all. And within like, I don't know, the first like time of actually meeting her, not, I guess second time of meeting her, he is like, your name is 3 syllables. That's not going to work. I've come up with a new nickname for you. Come on, Sofa.
Yeah, it's like it's inevitable. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And everybody will just start calling her
It's just
that.
one of those moments that shows how close Shin and Michael are to like in thought process to be like, that's your nickname.
Yeah, it's a funny interaction too, because I mean, like it definitely adds like, you know, that level of comedy that, you know, you have all these action scenes and then, you know, you have them calling her Sofa, which adds that level of like, okay, you know, here's some good laughs, you know, like there's not that there's not you know, funny fight scenes that there's, you know, like we said, he's playing music while fighting a horde of zombie like creatures, but you know, the comedy that they bring in, you know, in their interactions is a lot of fun.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about the shop? So the shop is humanity's superpower. Basically, as soon as you get teleported to the world, you have points that you can buy basically anything with. Artifacts, abilities, items, food, water, like everything's covered. So that's not something that humanity needs to worry about. But in order to get those points, they have to either be awarded with them coming in or kill Marenkai, which were the monsters for floor 1, and or humans,
Yeah, or other
because they
people.
also have points. So that lends itself to a very interesting power progression, scaling. And there's also a limit to how many abilities you can have. So you can only have 7 abilities. But if you're picking up abilities from like floor 1, you might not have enough space for some awesome abilities in the later floors.
Yeah.
Which was another very, very cool aspect.
And it's the fact that like they're having to pick from like pages and pages and pages of like all these different abilities that are all like when you first sort of look at it, they're all some of the last few pages are the point numbers. They seem to be just random. Some will be incredibly expensive and others will be dirt cheap. So they've got all of that to pick from, and it's like picking the right choices is like the and just seeing some of the different things that they can do is just like really interesting as well.
Yeah, some of the abilities are just out there. It has I don't know if you've ever watched My Hero Academia, but there's a character who, whenever he eats a food, he basically can turn his body into like that animal, or like part of his body into that animal. That's an ability. Along with like the steel body type. So basically this character has octopus limbs that are made of steel, and he also gets like a rubber man ability from like One Piece. Yeah. So Luffy. So he's just like super stretchy octopus arms made of steel, and good luck fighting that. So it's just interesting to see all the variety of abilities and the interactions that they have. Definitely the author did a very good job on that.
Yeah. Just it must be just really nice to just sit down for like a brainstorming session. Just like, I wonder what weird and wacky thing can I put in here. Just mapping the world building must be so much fun. Right.
Now, when you narrate these books, do you get a chance to talk with the author about their wants and desires for the book, or is it just given to you and you're just have to do what you can with it?
For some authors, like for Reborn Apocalypse, I basically just got given complete free reign to just do whatever I like to. He didn't specify like accents for characters or like or anything like that. Like in particular, like obviously I'm British and the main character is like, well, it's by an American author, primarily for an American audience, and yeah. And I actually said to him, like, do you want me to do an American accent? Like, I can do one. But he was like, no, just, like, he liked the audition. So I just sort of was given complete free reign with it. That's not always the case. For some authors that I've worked with, they'll have, like, an idea in mind of what kind of voice they want each character to have and the general style that they want. If they're nice to you, they'll give you a pronunciation guide for like any weird words that don't exist that come up. Or sometimes you're just left to like figure out how to pronounce them yourself, or just make it up if you're given complete free reign. Like if it's a word that doesn't exist, it means that you can just decide how that word is pronounced, and no one can tell you that you're wrong.
So we talked about this a little before the episode, but are there any words that you got flack for mispronouncing or like didn't pronounce very well?
Yeah, there was one word in the first few books that I pronounced wrong, according to some, and then changed in the later volumes because of the of people talking about it so much. I pronounced it as Kai when it can be pronounced as Ki as well, but it can actually be pronounced either way.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
I mean, I always pronounce it as like Ki or like
yeah.
I
think it was just like it might have just been like a cultural thing. It might have just been like how I saw it on the page. That's just how my brain decided to pronounce it. But yeah, I changed it in later volumes, and then I got people complaining that I changed it. so you can't win. But yeah.
It's been pronounced like either way. So
yeah, I think that's one of the times where you just go, well, in this world, it's pronounced this way. So deal with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're like, I got free reign. Suck it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, I mean, in this book, it's not super stat heavy. It's like they occasionally throw out. I mean, I guess that some of that leans in because it's a a cultivation / lit RPG where like some of the stats are not really like they're not hard stats like strength 15 all that. But I mean, when you do have to go into stats, like how do you approach it so that like the stats aren't like, oh god, I have to hear another stat block? Like how do you try to make it interesting?
I think like for some lit RPGs, like you can give the system actually has like a mind of its own. It'll have like, so you can basically give it its own distinct voice, which means it can have its own distinct character, which means that it can like make the stats sort of it can sort of be saying the stats with character and like perhaps a little bit of sarcasm when it reaches like certain stages. Reborn Apocalypse is one of the more like where it can be just sort of a straight list. But I try and make it rather than it just being monotonous of reading out numbers again and again, I try and make it sound like as if each thing is the like the most amazing thing ever. Like just to like it needs to sort of keep that engagement there because I know that people can sometimes nod off during like long stat reads, particularly when reading out like numbers and stuff like that. But like if you listen to sort of just people who are reading like corporate narration and stuff like that, they'll manage to make like reams of corporate jargon sound interesting because they can like add the inflections to it, and that just sort of comes with training, really. Just like making what you're saying, what might be considered dry information, to sound like an interesting piece of information. Just putting the emphasis on the right word here and there, just to sort of make the sentence pop, if that makes sense. It's one of the things that's sort of hard to explain, really. But yeah, it comes with practice.
I definitely think you do a really good job of like just making everything sound incredibly interesting, just like over the top, just like the most exciting thing that has ever been written, and I am narrating it, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we talked a little about this before. So you have a science background, and you're still working part-time at doing science stuff. So how did you get into narrating, and did you actually go through training, or is this just something you like doing and so you pursued it? Or
it's something that I like doing. Like when I was working my science job full time, I still have a long commute. So it takes me about an hour to get to work every day, there and back. So it meant that I listened to a lot of audiobooks myself, and I was burning through audiobooks like just on the commute to work. And people tell me that I had a nice voice. I know that sounds like cliche, like that's how all narrators start out. But I just thought, maybe I could give it a go. So then I went on ACX, which is the site that most like narrators that are first starting out, how they'll find work, and then just started doing that in my spare time. Again, just like while I was full time working in science, and just buying all my own equipment and just like slowly building up a portfolio of just books where I wasn't relying on it for my income. I was just doing it because like it was fun to do. And eventually I just built up enough of a portfolio that I could like that I started getting bigger and bigger jobs to the point that I could afford this and start actually relying on it. But yeah, it's
So how did you find Progression Fantasy? Or was that just a random button you pressed, or was it like something you knew of ahead of time?
It was just something I kind of fell into. Reborn Apocalypse, I think, was what like kicked it all off, really, because that was just up for audition on ACX, and I auditioned for it. Didn't think in a million years that I would actually like get picked to do it, and I didn't know at the time how much of a following it had. And then when it came out and it like I saw that it was so popular, that sort of made a bunch of other like opportunities come my way. And also I like the genre. I listen to like Lit RPG and progression fantasy and stuff. So it meant that I could like start to approach publishers who like specialize in that, that are willing to send work my way that has from that particular genre. So that's kind of how it all started. I'd say Reborn Apocalypse kind of kicked it all off.
Yeah.
Okay, so you say you're a lit RPG reader. What series that isn't your own? What would you say your favorite book is?
Oh, blimey.
It's a hard question.
It is a hard question.
I probably couldn't even tell you my favorite book. I'm like, let me pull out the giant list I have. What?
Yeah. Like in terms of like just general lit RPG, like I probably have going for like all of like the cliche really popular ones, like Primal Hunter, He Who Fights with Monsters. Let's see, like, does The Wandering Inn count? I don't know.
Yes.
Whether
Yes,
yeah,
it counts.
Yeah.
I have a tattoo of it on my leg. It counts.
I do. Brilliant. What was another one? The Land, like the one that kind of started it all. Dipping my toes into. I'm still going through like Dungeon Crawler Carl, and all of that.
Okay.
But yeah,
I think you hit all the bases. So.
Yeah, all the bases of like the main
Right.
huge titans of the genre,
Right.
if you like. But I don't really know which one would be my favorite out of all of them.
Okay, do you have a favorite other narrator, or is there another narrator that even in Odd Little RPG who who you've listened to, who you're like, oh man, one day that's I hope I can get to that level, or it's just you really idolize.
Again, like the greats, like Travis Baldry, like that guy. He also, because he also he did like sort of tutorials on YouTube that I watch religiously when I need sort of like advice on narration, stuff like that. But yeah, the guy's a machine, and I wish that I had like his talent and commitment. Maybe Daniel Wisniewski as well, who I believe you had on, like,
Yeah,
you
he
had
was
on
on
last week.
last episode.
Yeah. Nick Podell is another one.
Phenomenal.
Like, and all the guys at Sound Booth Theatre. So Jeff Hayes, the legendary Jeff Hayes. Like that guy, I can't, how he does like those different voices, how he does all those voices, I have no idea. I have no idea how he does it. But,
right. I mean, so part of my favorite thing, and I really enjoy doing it, and it's one of the reasons that when narrators, they do their live, a lot of them do it on Discord or YouTube or whatever. And part of that is because I really like watching the process, like, how an audiobook is actually created. You get a lot of behind the scenes and bloopers and stuff like that. But watching, some of them, because there's some, I know there's some narrators that like, okay, I'm going to voice all this person's voices and this track, and then they jump to a different one. But listening to Jeff, and there's a couple other ones like Andrea Parsnow and Travis Baldry and them, but they can just switch from one like character to the next, and it's completely different voice. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you just switch back and forth, in a conversation and not get confused and not voice the wrong person, and go to completely different dialect and all that? That stuff's crazy.
It's so accurate too to the character, and there's like not bleed over. It's just, yeah,
making each character like sound distinct as well, like, and not just like different voices, but different like the tempo, like the speed at which they speak, like it just everything like comes together to make like each character just sound completely different, and the fact that they can just switch it like that, it is a sight to behold. It's like
now I'll have to give you credit that there's some people who there's some narrators, and they they do a great voice, but they may not, if it's a female, they may not do a great male voice, or male who doesn't do a great female voice. I know Sound Booth, that's one of their big things, like, hey, why don't we just give all the female characters to a female and she can do them? But you do, at least in Reborn Apocalypse, that's the only thing I can go off of. You do, I'm not offended by your female voice. I think you do a pretty good job.
Yeah, like I think I've heard a couple of people tell me that I do like women's voices and children's voices quite well, because I think like the main like temptation when you're like a man trying to do like a woman's voice is to go pantomime and make it sound like dead silly. But literally all you need to do is just raise it ever so slightly and just talk at your normal rate, and that can be enough for the audience to suspend their disbelief, because obviously they know I'm not like a woman or a 6-year-old child. So like it's just like doing like the subtle differences that can just make it so that like, okay, like woman's voice, that's fine, like it works. Oh, is that dog barking?
Sorry, that was probably mine.
Yeah, but yeah, like it's also trying to do different like accents while also doing a woman's voice as well. That can be sort of the challenging part. Like if I'm given free reign for a whole series and no accents are specified, I tend to sort of like make the characters go on like a walking tour of the United Kingdom. So pull out like all the different regional accents from the UK, and like see how they interact. That tends to be my method for doing it.
Cool. So one thing I normally ask narrators is, what is your most underrated series that you've done that you feel like no one has talked about, or like you want to shine a light on?
I suppose there is one that I really enjoyed doing with Athon. Fight Level Survive by XR Maze. One of the rare lit RPGs that has a British protagonist, which is why it was like ideal for me to do it. But like it's just really I just found it really funny, and like the main character is not like overly annoying. He's relatively competent, but also gets into like misunderstanding scrapes and stuff like that, and I just generally find it funny and quite an interesting concept. So
What about that series do you like?
I think there are bits where like the main character has to go out and fight various different like monsters in the wild to level up, but the way the author will then switch the chapter to the POV of the monster, and so you'll get to hear like the monster's thought process, and that can be like incredibly interesting and funny. So there'll be yeah, so like there's giant spiders in a cave, and it'll be like going into like one spider, and it'll almost, and I tried to sort of make it sound like he and another spider were like sort of work colleagues, and they were just sort of like they were seeing this strange person who was wandering into like their home, and he was just like, oh, that's very strange, isn't it? I wonder what he's doing. And then there was another one where it was like a unicorn that has the mind of a child, but is like unaware of like how like he will brutally kill people, but doesn't sort of comprehend that he's killed someone. That he just thinks that they're asleep, and so we'll just have this naive childlike mindset, and just like getting to do those like do those different voices and do that different perspective. They were just a lot of fun and quite funny. So yeah,
cool. I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, I already added.
I will be honest,
my
like
library.
I've seen this series before, and I don't know what it was about it. I think it was because like I don't know. I didn't see the cover very well, and I thought the main character looked a little like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Covers
Right.
can sometimes make or break a book sometimes,
Yeah.
like the first impressions. Yeah.
I think that was mainly my first impression that like kind of broke me from the series. But hearing about it now, I'll definitely go and have to check it out.
Mhm.
I'm trying to.
All right. So
I'd say the whole unicorn thing, it reminds me of a skit real fast. I can't remember the people who do it. I see them all the time on all the shorts, but there's two kids and they go into the game and they put it like on kid mode or whatever, and so they're like, oh, casting magical spell, and it puts everyone to sleep, and then they show the NPC. And from his view, it's still on normal, and everyone's dying, and they're like blowing people up. And they're like, because they're like shooting people, and they've turned into confetti. But the NPC like sees blood and guts go everywhere, and he's like, "Oh God!" And the kids are like, "Oh, this is so much fun!" Ah! It was hilarious. I can't think of the name of the freaking skit people though.
I don't know. It reminds me of Borderlands, like maybe like a Tina's perspective, or like
Viva La Dirt League. That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
So, Paul, do you have any final thoughts on the series? Or Adam, do you have any questions you'd like to ask us?
Oh, this is where I draw a blank. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I'll have a think.
So, so we'll just go with the first two books because that's all I've read so far. Is there one scene that you would say that you're most proud of? Like, that was your favorite scene in those first two books?
I think you've like covered a fair few of them. As we say, the country roads bit. That was a lot of fun to do, and the fight with Prime, like the several chapter long, like I believe it was, like of two equally competent people like battling against each other. That is always fun to do. And later ones with like the main villain of the series, who is also like equally competent. Like they are characters that I really enjoy voicing, like competent people who know they are like competent and they have earned their competency, and they're just sort of like showing that confidence is just a lot of fun to do. So yeah, bits from the first two books, I think those are the main ones that I enjoyed doing.
So I think it shows that, like, I guess one of the things like I appreciate is, you are into lit RPG and into the whole like thing, and I think that shows through. Like, you as a narrator and just so far as a person talking to you, like, it's been enjoyable to both listen to you and talk to you. And, I think it shows through that you enjoy this as much as, we're enjoying it. So that's appreciated.
Thank you.
Another series that we haven't mentioned yet, which is also regression, is Paths of Akashic, which is a series that you do.
Oh, yeah. Right? Yeah, well, it's progression fantasy, same one. That is one where the system is more of a character, and like more of just sort of this omnipresent force, which like incorporates the humanity into like the wider universe, and the that was one of the series that I did with a co-narrator, actually. Like, don't know if you listen to like that many ones where there's two, where there's just two
dual narration.
Dual narration that I do with Mia Fothergill, and like who is also British. So, but like it's also sort of like a love story, because the main character meets a succubus. Which you would think would lead down into the sort of like temptation side of things, and she has to like feed on him to survive. But it ends up becoming like one of the most like loving, like bantery, like partners in crime relationship. Almost like they end up almost like a sort of Bonnie and Clyde duo, and end up sort of founding their own society. That tries to sort of form like a clan to protect the people that they knew from Earth and Nashan, the planet that Rissith, the succubus, comes from. And they just sort of like acquire more and more like colorful characters to like fight against the people that will try to like enslave them or like enslave different planets or other universes. It's very wide in scope. It's a lot like encompasses like whole universes and different realities. We're on book 5 now. Well, we will be on book 6. But yeah, that's a lot of fun to do. Sort of doing that in tandem with the Runic Artist. They're sort of releasing the book 5 for both of those series were kind of released at the same time. So we're sort of like at the same stage for each of those series at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the Runic Artist isn't one that I've picked up or even seen anything on yet, but Paths of Akashic, I found that one very interesting because it's regression. So the character knows like, hey, we're joining the multiverse. This is like the struggles that are going to come at us. We need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah. We need to leave Earth now.
Yeah. And so he just basically the belief of the world turned soul into this actual being, like divine God that like watches over and protects the system. And he's like, hey, can we go? And just end up going off with their own colony and finding other planets. deeper within the galaxy or whatever. So yeah. Good series, good regression series. I did want to do a honorable mention for regression series that I wasn't able to cover this month because we are coming to a close of regression month. Apocalypse Regression. No, we covered that one. Apocalypse Redux. Yes. Apocalypse Redux is a phenomenal regression series. And if you haven't heard anything about it, definitely go check it out. Basically, a guy at the end of the apocalypse goes back in time and has to like do it all over. Same spiel for any regression series. But in this one, the system causes the basically you can summon monsters, and then killing those monsters is how you level up. But the whole thing that the main character has to do is basically become a scientist and convince the rest of humanity, hey, don't do anything stupid. Don't summon something that you can't handle. And so it's a very different like storytelling than like most regression series, because it's more preventative than it is, or like it's more convincing the populace than it is like going off and fighting these bad guys that are going to crop up. So
you want to tell every D&D party?
Yeah,
definitely. Summon the demons. Stop it. Jeez.
Do you want demons? That's how you get demons.
Right. That's how you get a haunted forest.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that brings us to a close for regression month. Before we go, I normally do a segment called What You've Been Reading. So start with Paul.
Sure. So I just finished up book 2 of the Reborn Apocalypse. I also have been mixing in a few other series. Well, now I just got to pull up my library because I can't remember. I'm glad I'm not a narrator because words are hard. The Silent Blades by Jonathan Schmidt. Before that is not what I told it to do. Well, now my Audible has just lost its mind, so who knows? But there's been a few other like series that have released books recently that, there we go. Hey, Sectmaster by Jay Krause. And then before that was Catastrophe at the Collapsing College by Ryan Reynolds. And then also was Bunny Girl Evolution. So yeah, I throw in a little mix of everything.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've mainly just been. I sometimes like. I think I have not really been listening to much Lit RPG recently. I suppose I did re-listen to Iron Prince, and the second one, Fire and Song, recently, just because that's awesome. But also I'm trying to get into like the big epic fantasy ones. Like I did the Wheel of Time a few years ago. I'm trying Malazan now, which I hear is a mammoth task. So it's one of those that's very impenetrable to get into. So I'm trying to give that a go. And in addition to reading the next few projects that I'm doing to prepare for them. So yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the ones that because as a narrator, sometimes you don't really have a lot of time to read for fun, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear that from.
Oh no, I'm there.
Yeah.
Same thing for podcasters. It's just hey, who we having on next episode? Cool. That's what I'm reading this week.
Yeah. So I'll be reading my current project, trying to decide I'll give that person this voice. So I'm not reading it just I would just as a normal reader. I'm actually having to analyze each bit of it as well. So I guess you could say like I'm currently reading the third series of one that I'm doing called Matabar. Have either of you heard of that one?
No.
By Kirill Klavansky. But yeah, that's the first book of that released late last year. It was the longest book that I've ever done on my own. It was like 40 hours. And this one was like I just finished the second one. It was about 30 hours long. So now I'm reading the third one, which to sort of complete that saga. So that's what I'm reading, I suppose.
Nice. So do you go to any conventions, or do you plan on going to any conventions? Because I know like Jordan Con's a big one that we go to. That's for the Wheel of Time. And then also Lit RPG Con is another big one that we go to.
It tends to I don't really know how many of them come to the UK,
right?
But I believe there is a Comic-Con in London fairly soon, which has like some big names attached to it, like Brandon Sanderson and stuff like that. I've never actually been to a con before. It looks so fun, and I would love to go.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like down to just my location here that just means it's like a bit hard for me to like actually travel to one. They tend to be quite far, but I would love to go to one. They sound like a lot of fun.
I think I spend so much time now trying to sell Lit RPG Con. I'm like, everyone needs to come now. I mean, it's in Denver, Colorado, which, might be a little bit far for you, but I'm like, everyone needs to be there. I need everyone who's into Lit RPG there now.
Yeah. I mean, we get quite a few like UK author narrators. Just like Haylock, Heath Miller.
Yeah, but he lives in the US now.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he lives in Maine, so he's cheating.
Yeah, how dare he?
I think it's more just
Eric
like I think I just need to like actually make an effort to travel more and to actually go out and meet people. It can be perhaps a little bit lonely, a lonely existence sat in a booth. But yeah, I just need to come to the US, I think, like just on a holiday or something. Yeah.
You have your honeymoon here, bring your wife, and come visit.
We haven't decided on the honeymoon yet, so we may well.
Congratulations, honey. For our honeymoon, we're going to a convention.
I've made a terrible mistake.
Yeah.
On that note, I would like to thank you guests for coming on the episode, and thank you audience for stopping by. If you haven't yet, definitely check out the other episodes that I have up. Next week we are having Mallory on to talk Morgan and Merlin's Excellent Adventures. That should be a very fun one. We're going to have Geneva and Samantha Boyd on to talk about that one. And that is on the 7th. So feel free to stop by and hang out and have some fun. And on that note, bye.
Bye. Keep waving.